He's been dead for 6 minutes. Should we call it? The nurse's voice cut through the emergency room chaos at Memphis Methodist Hospital. March 5, 1967, 3:47 a.m. Dr. George Nick Nijopoulos stood over Elvis Presley's lifeless body, holding the syringe that had stopped the king's heart. What looked like a medical emergency was actually attempted murder, the first of 3 times Dr. Nick would try to kill Elvis before finally succeeding 10 years later. But Elvis's eyes suddenly opened, staring directly at his would-be killer, and the first words from his resurrection would change their relationship forever. "I know what you did, Nick, and I know why, but I forgive you." The hidden recording device Elvis had sewn into his jacket captured everything: the lethal injection, the 6 minutes of death, and most damning of all, Dr. Nick's whispered confession to what he thought was a corpse. But to understand why a respected Memphis physician would try to murder the world's most famous entertainer, we need to go back 6 months. September 1966. Elvis had just finished filming Clambake, another humiliating movie that made him want to disappear. He'd fallen off a horse, hit his head, and been brought to Memphis Methodist, where he met Dr. George Nichopoulos for the first time. Nick, as everyone called him, was Greek, ambitious, and had a secret that would eventually drive him to murder. Have you ever been forced to choose between becoming a killer or watching your family die? That was Dr. Nick's position when Elvis Presley walked into his emergency room. Here was the solution to all his problems: the most famous patient in the world, worth more dead than alive to certain interested parties. Piccolo had been explicit. Presley's got $1 million life insurance policy. Colonel Parker wants him gone. Make it happen, make it look natural, and your debt disappears. The plan was elegant in its simplicity. Elvis already took pills, lots of pills. An overdose would surprise no one. Dr. Nick would become Elvis's personal physician, gain his trust, control his medication, and slowly increase the doses until one day, oops, cardiac arrest. Nobody would question it. Elvis was already on the path to destruction. Dr. Nick would just speed up the journey. October 1966 through February 1967, Dr. Nick played the long game. He became Elvis's friend, not just his doctor. Prescribed pills liberally, Dexedrine for energy, Seconal for sleep, Dilaudid for pain that didn't exist. Elvis trusted him completely, called him at all hours, invited him to Graceland, made him part of the Memphis Mafia. Dr. Nick was the wolf in the sheep's clothing, and Elvis was the lamb being fattened for slaughter. But Elvis wasn't as naive as Dr. Nick thought. By February 1967, Elvis had noticed things: prescriptions that didn't match what he'd asked for, pills that looked different but had the same label. Most suspiciously, Dr. Nick's nervous behavior whenever Elvis mentioned life insurance or Colonel Parker. Elvis did what any paranoid superstar would do. He started recording everything. March 4, 1967. Elvis deliberately took too many pills, faking an overdose to test his suspicion. Dr. Nick arrived at Graceland within minutes, too fast, like he'd been waiting. Elvis was rushed to Memphis Methodist, playing unconscious but aware of everything. In the ambulance, he heard Dr. Nick tell the paramedic, "This might be it, finally." Strange words from a doctor trying to save a patient. At the hospital, Elvis was placed in a private room. Dr. Nick dismissed all the nurses, saying he'd handle this personally. Elvis, still pretending to be unconscious, felt the recording device in his jacket activate. What happened next would have been perfect murder, if not for one thing. Elvis had been secretly taking Narcan, an antidote to opioid overdose, building up resistance to what was about to come. Dr. Nick prepared a syringe. Through barely opened eyes, Elvis saw the label: potassium chloride, a lethal injection that would stop his heart instantly, mimicking a drug overdose. "I'm sorry, Elvis," Dr. Nick whispered to what he thought was an unconscious patient. "You were always dead the moment Parker made the deal. At least this way it's painless." The injection went into Elvis's IV port. The effect was immediate. Elvis's heart stopped. Flatline on the monitor. Dr. Nick waited, watching. 1 minute, 2, 3, at 6 minutes, he was preparing to call time of death when Elvis's eyes opened. Not gradually, like normal resuscitation, suddenly, like someone who'd been watching the whole time. "I know what you did, Nick, and I know why, but I forgive you." Dr. Nick stumbled backward, dropping the syringe. Elvis sat up, pulling out his IVs, reaching into his jacket to stop the recording. "The Narcan," Elvis explained calmly. "I've been taking it for weeks, built up a tolerance. Your poison couldn't kill me, but now I own you." The conversation that followed, captured on Elvis's hidden recorder, revealed everything. Dr. Nick, sobbing, confessed to the mob debt, Parker's involvement, the insurance policy scheme. "They'll kill my children," he begged. Elvis's response showed the king at his most strategically brilliant. "No, Nick, They'll kill you when they find out you failed, unless... The deal Elvis proposed was insane but brilliant. Dr. Nick would continue as his doctor but would now be a double agent. He'd tell Piccolo and Parker that he was slowly poisoning Elvis, buying time. Meanwhile, he'd actually keep Elvis alive, protecting him from other attempts. In exchange, Elvis would pay off Nick's mob debt and ensure his family's safety. But there was a catch. Elvis would keep the recording of the murder attempt. Insurance. You tried to kill me, Nick. Now you have to keep me alive. Ironic, isn't it? Dr. Nick had no choice. He agreed, but he also made a chilling prediction. Elvis, this won't end well. Parker won't stop. The mob won't stop. Eventually they'll find someone else to finish what I started. Elvis's response was prophetic. Then I'll die when I choose to die, not when they decide. From March 1967 forward, their relationship was the strangest in medical history. Dr. Nick was simultaneously Elvis's protector and potential killer. He prescribed massive amounts of pills, partly to maintain Elvis's addiction, partly to convince Parker and Piccolo the slow murder was progressing. But he also secretly gave Elvis vitamins disguised as narcotics, saline instead of morphine, sugar pills instead of Seconal. It was pharmaceutical theater, keeping Elvis functional while appearing to destroy him. Have you ever been trapped in a relationship with someone who tried to kill you, knowing they're the only thing keeping others from succeeding? The second murder attempt came in 1969. Dr. Nick was pressured by Piccolo to accelerate the timeline. During a routine injection at Graceland, he administered what should have been a lethal dose of Demerol. But Elvis had anticipated this, taking another dose of Narcan beforehand. He survived, but barely. The conversation afterward was caught on Elvis's ever-present recording system. That's twice, Nick. Third time I won't forgive. Dr. Nick's response, there won't be a third time. I can't do this anymore. But there was a third time. August 1977. By then Dr. Nick was broken. Years of being Elvis's keeper, dealer and protector had destroyed him. The mob was closing in. Parker was impatient. Elvis was genuinely dying, but slowly, too slowly for everyone's timeline. The final attempt wasn't dramatic. It was simply Dr. Nick prescribing the right combination of pills, knowing Elvis's body couldn't handle them anymore and not warning him. On August 16, 1977, Elvis took the prescribed cocktail. This time there was no Narcan, no secret antidote, no resurrection after 6 minutes. Dr. Nick was at Graceland within an hour of Elvis's death, not to save him but to ensure he stayed dead. The recording equipment Elvis had hidden throughout Graceland captured Dr. Nick's final words to the corpse. Third time's the charm, Elvis. I finally kept my promise to them. God forgive me. The tapes Elvis made were supposed to be released upon his death, according to instructions he'd left with his lawyer. But they vanished. The FBI investigated Dr. Nick for overprescribing but never for murder. He was tried for medical malpractice in 1980 but acquitted. The jury never heard about the March 1967 recording because it no longer existed, destroyed, some say, by Vernon Presley, who couldn't bear the public knowing his son had been murdered. Dr. Nick lived until 2016, 40 years after his first attempt to kill Elvis. In his final interview, suffering from dementia, he said something that chilled reporters. I killed him 3 times. He forgave me twice. The third time he thanked me, said he was tired of running, tired of fighting, tired of being killed slowly. He asked me to make it quick. I did. Was it a confession or dementia? Nobody knows. But the medical records show something disturbing. Elvis's body had massive amounts of Narcan in his system when he died. He'd been taking it until the end, trying to protect himself. But on August 16, 1977, he didn't take it. Either he forgot, or as Dr. Nick claimed, he chose not to. The recording of the first murder attempt was thought destroyed until 2019, when it was found in a safety deposit box belonging to Elvis's lawyer, who died without telling anyone. The FBI authenticated it but classified it, saying releasing it would compromise ongoing investigations. What investigations? Into what? 42 years after Elvis's death? Dr. Nick took his full secrets to his grave. But what we know is damning enough. He tried to kill Elvis 3 times. The first time, Elvis forgave him and turned him into a protector. The second time, Elvis threatened him into submission. The third time, Elvis perhaps let him succeed, tired of the game, tired of being a target, tired of being alive. The relationship between Elvis and Dr. Nick wasn't doctor and patient. It was victim and failed assassin forced into a decade-long dance of mutual destruction. Dr. Nick kept Elvis alive to save his own life. Elvis kept Dr. Nick close to prevent other killers from getting closer. They were locked in a pharmaceutical Mexican standoff that could only end one way, with Elvis dead and Dr. Nick free. The pills that killed Elvis weren't medicine. They were a decade-delayed lethal injection. prescribed by a man who'd tried to murder him in 1967, failed, and spent 10 years finishing the job in slow motion. The king didn't die of an overdose. He died of a murder that took 10 years to complete, administered by a doctor who tried to kill him quickly, failed, and was condemned to kill him slowly instead. He's been dead for 6 minutes. Should we call it? The nurse's words from 1967 were prophetic. Elvis had been dead since that night. It just took his body 10 more years to catch up, and Dr. Nick, the man who killed him and saved him simultaneously, spent those 10 years as both executioner and guardian angel, dealer and protector, murderer and friend. In the end, Elvis's last words to Linda Thompson make more sense. "I'm going to the bathroom to read." But what the maid found next to his body wasn't a book. It was a medical prescription from Dr. Nick, with a note in Elvis's handwriting. First attempt, March 5, 1967. Final success, today. 10 years is long enough. Forgive him, I did.